Hello, and welcome to another episode of Xbox Infinite. We don't have a guest this week. It's been a bit of a busy week for me, so I was just unable to sort of take the time to track someone down to jump in. But hey, I think we can hold it down with what we've got. And what we've got are no slouches. Infinite Umbra, welcome back. How's your week been? What have you been up to? I heard the fix was a good but extremely long, how the ladies talk about me, show.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how was your show? How was your week?
Well, I mean, I look at the show like I look at love. You want to give them a long, enjoyable show, and so that's what I did.
Oh my
We
god.
came together. Yeah, they typically say that at the end of it too. So
Hopefully not in that tone.
I don't know. They normally say it during for me. That's
well, they're kind of tired, so they. Oh my god, I'm so tired.
is it over yet? Over yet?
Yeah. No, but we had a really good show yesterday. Danny couldn't make it, so my good brother Retri stepped in, Game Pass Daily for you guys that don't know. And man, we had Ham Solo and Sergeant Sentinel Gaming join me rather. It was really, really good. It was a longer show, like you said, about 3 hours and 22 minutes. But I did put timestamps, so if you guys do support it, brother, go through there and check it out. And especially check out the Game of the Year. I called it the Game of the Year Gambit, in which I used a tier maker list, and we, debated on what games we thought would make it top six, et cetera, for the nominees. Despite what the general consensus is. And we had a blast, man. It was really fun. So, yeah. Other than that, I haven't had too much time to get into gaming. I have played a bit of Jusson. And
Oh, that's all right. That game. It's weird.
Yeah.
Weird when you start, right? But then you get the sort of hang of it. Yeah. Not easy.
You do. Yeah, at first it's a little awkward at points, but you get used to it. And I was going to play some Modern Warfare 3 earlier, but dozed off. So I do want to get in on that. And of course, I have been playing Halo here and there, and likely going to be playing some tonight and tomorrow. So yeah. Other than that, man, good to be here with you guys tonight. Thank you guys in the chat for being here with us.
Absolutely. Chat's rocking already. Pete, another fantastic week. You still stuck on that Souls-like game? I've forgotten the name of it because it's so far into the past now.
Lords of the Fallen.
Oh, that one. Yep. That one. Yep. The old game.
Amazing game. Lit in 4 out of 5 beacons. So I'm getting there, bro. I know you want me to play Alan Wake, but I don't want to rush it. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the game. We played on screen RoboQuest, which is in full release now, and I know we've said it before, but I advise everyone to play that game. It is free on Game Pass on full release now, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. Great co-op game to play. And Risk, I wanted to say publicly, bro, congratulations on the birth of your baby girl, mate. Yeah. Another member to the Xbox Infinite family, and I couldn't be happier for you, bro. Yeah, should be good show today, so let's do this.
Thanks, man. She's a little angel. Speaking of little angels, Blue, welcome back. Another fantastic week. You've got extremely red hair. It looks amazing. Pete loves it. So how's your week been? What have you been up to?
Love you too, Riskit. Hello. I finished the Call of Duty campaign. Now we will not talk about the Call of Duty campaign. And then I've played a little bit of Call of Duty. I jumped on the Australian side and played last night before the embargo lifted for us. And I have been working on Alan Wake 2 very slowly. It's starting to pick up, and I want to get more into it. I know there's been some complaints about the detective board, but I really like the detective boards so far. I mean, I guess it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I think that's a really unique, cool little thing that they did. So,
yeah.
Yep, we'll be playing more COD and more COD and more COD and Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, you got to try out this RoboQuest though as well. Like Pete's right. This is it's a rogue. I'm not really into my roguelites normally, but it is a roguelite where I mean, it's good. It's very, very good. It is free to play. So it's called RoboQuest. Definitely jump in and play it. But to your to the board, did you find it the detective board? Did you find it initially when they sort of run you through the tutorial of how to use the board? Did you find it a bit much? Like it was a lot, right, to deal with. Um, just because it went for quite some time, or did you think that was like the right amount of time?
I thought it was okay. I don't like some of the button prompts on it.
Mhm.
Honestly, I found that a little tedious. Like, I don't want to have to press up on the D-pad to bring up the picture. The picture should just be like up and ready to go. And then if you pick the wrong spot to put it, then it flops it down back in there and then you have to repress up. And I just felt like that was a little silly. But there's a lot going on in that room. And it does take a little while to kind of figure out the multiple places that you go in there for the different types of things and then the different cases and things like that. But I liked it. I didn't think it was too much for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I just thought it would I just sort of dragged on. Like I got it, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You know when you like playing a tutorial and you're like, yeah, cool, I get it, let's go. And it just didn't
Yeah.
let me go. Want to get back to the action, but that's just
Oh
me.
yeah.
I'm a little bit impatient, so that's probably. But yeah, I
Well,
really.
I actually sorry. I like started the game and I left and I had it in quick resume. And then when I came back, the game just relaunched. It didn't start back from quick resume again, so I actually had to go through that tutorial twice.
Ooh,
That was
yeah,
annoying.
yeah. There was a. I actually lost a bit of a save doing that. So yeah, I probably lost about. I think it was about an hour. I played through an hour and then came back, and same thing happened. Quick resume didn't lock or whatever it does, and yeah, I had to play the hour again. But that's not bad because uh, that game is game of the year. It's an amazing game. Honestly, one of the best games I've played this year. And that's saying something in a world, in a year where we've had like just absolute banger after absolute banger. This is,
In a world, you got to work on that.
yeah.
Mm.
I don't know why you had to do
Which
that.
Borderlands is this that you're
I
playing?
had to, I had to show you the more manly sound. You know.
Yeah, this is not Borderlands, Hole. This is and it's very akin to Borderlands, but it's a lot of fun. It's only 4.5
Which
gigs,
one is
guys.
it?
Like I said,
Which one?
RoboQuest. RoboQuest.
free to play.
This is RoboQuest?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh, it looks like Borderlands.
Yeah, it's so
Us.
good.
It
a lot of
does,
fun.
yeah.
Honestly. Honestly
Sorry.
amazing. Yes, Talos Reed does get around. Absolutely. I see him everywhere, and we love having him here in the show. You guys in the chat are absolutely amazing. Thank you for coming in and supporting us. We've got a bit to talk about this week. Some sort of an interesting topic that normally we just sort of do the quickfire news for the week, and this is a bit of news for the week. But it's also related to the industry and where it's going to go and what's going to happen. So I want to jump in this topic. So early in the week, as Blue sort of saved us, I thought it was an acquisition. It wasn't an acquisition. It's actually Xbox announcing a partnership with a company called InWorld. So if you don't know what InWorld does, they basically work on AI NPCs. So they can integrate with the SDKs, um, and it will mesh with your SDK and your API. And basically, what it does is exactly what you would think AI does. So in real time, it'll sort of add depth to your NPC. They'll react to the world that's happening around them, and it won't be unscripted. So, sorry, it'll be unscripted. So what? So we could get some really interesting, funny glitches, by the way, from this. I think with like AI characters saying some outlandish shit, which should be good as well. But they will. You can set basically their personality, and then just sort of let them loose in the world, which is the closest to sort of realism, which is the step in the right direction as far as I'm concerned, but we'll get into that later. It sort of brings that realism of a character reacting to you real time, the world real time, and doing it with a personality. But there is a little bit of backlash, and like I really have all respect for Lana Pierce. She's amazing, great chick, and an ex-Aussie. I say ex-Aussie because she abandoned the great homeland. The great homeland. Now, she said this. And I wanted to push back on this a little bit, and then I'll go to the panel because I have some thoughts on this. She said, imagine announcing this in a year where the games industry has laid off 6,000 plus people. I will never play any game that InWorld has any part in making. So her overarching point there, I think, is that people are losing their jobs. And she believes, and I think look, again, I say all respect to her, but I don't think Alana's got her finger on the pulse of the community anymore, or has done for quite a while. She's got 500,000 plus followers or whatever. She basically doesn't respond to community. And I think she lives a little bit in an echo chamber. That said, I watched a video of hers that sort of followed this sort of topic up, and she was talking about layoffs, and she didn't reference AI, but she did reference everything as a whole, so AI, subscription services, etc. And why I say she doesn't have a finger on the pulse is because she has an issue with all the layoffs. And that is as a result, and I did a video on this, you guys can go check it out. I did a video on this as basically the AAA model, it's just not working anymore. It was as a result of the 2000s. AAA's become extremely expensive to develop. And because of that, cost profit margins are smaller. And what you're very likely to see happen is people dip out of the industry. You're very likely to see cost cutting. And cost cutting, as she made a really, really good point in her video, is going to affect your AAAs. So AI is a way to reduce that cost. Now, that doesn't mean that where you reduce the cost of devs being in the studio. That's a way to push a game out the door quicker. Imagine you've got imagine the amount of time that it took to do 500,000 lines of dialogue for Bethesda's Starfield. Right, that would have taken a long time. Now, imagine if all of that was AI, but you've still got devs running that, right? Then you get that game out the door a lot quicker, and you're on to the next one. That does, and your game's a success, right? And then you don't need to lay off devs because you need those devs for the next game because your game was successful. So I think it's really nuanced and very short-sighted of Alana Pierce to sort of just completely write off AI. And frankly, if that's the line you're going to take, then you won't be playing any games going into the future because AI is going to start to permeate everything that we do. It already does. And it's especially going to start to permeate in gaming. And that is the next advance. When you're talking about advances in gaming, you're talking about AI, you're talking about physics, you're talking about these things. And if we dismiss these technologies as bad and only bad and can't see anything around it as good, then I think, you're going to end up in a situation where, based on principle, you're just not going to be a gamer anymore. I think it's really interesting. Every time we've had tech advances, put it this way, every time we've had tech advances, especially in the first world, and this doesn't quite go for the third world, we've had the Industrial Revolution, this is getting a little bit political, but we've had tech advances, the Industrial Revolution. There's always been this pushback on tech saying everyone's going to lose their job. What normally happens is other jobs are created, other positions are created for those gaps to be filled. So I found this really interesting. I'm super excited personally about what they can do with NPCs within gaming. And I also think that this is something that is complementary, right? So you would probably, obviously in your main storyline, you're still going to need to create these NPCs and have scripted areas. You're not going to completely do away with scripted areas because you need to funnel the player into the next objective, the next mission, right? So if you did that with AI, I mean, even you could back up if you don't curate that experience, where's your player going to end up? If you can't funnel them with AI, it's probably not going to work like that, especially not right now when it's in its infancy. So I just thought this is really short-sighted. And I know I'm going on for a long time, and I'm really sorry, panel. This is something that I'm a little bit passionate about. The other thing about AAA is we can't continue to exist with this model where games just become more and more expensive, take more and more time to make, and make less and less profit. That is going to kill AAA development. And so what game developers need to do is look for ways, or publishers need to do, or platforms need to do, is look for ways to mitigate that cost, or look for ways to bring in other revenue streams. And you do that with subscription services, right? And you do that with making, I believe, smaller games. You make a few smaller games a year and maybe one big AAA. You start to build out your portfolio. When you're bringing in new IPs, instead of being risk adverse to a new IP, and try to make a massive, like Immortals of Avium, a massive AAA game. What you do is you make a smaller game, smaller IP in the vein. It doesn't need to be a long game, and you see if it hits. You do that a few times a year. One of those is going to hit. And when it does, then you can beef out that IP. Now you've got an IP that's strong, that's got brand recognition, and that you can then build upon. Because at the moment, what we're seeing is we're seeing a lot of risk adverse in the industry for AAA because they're using IPs that are well known, like Star Wars, like Spider-Man, or they're doing remakes and remasters. We've seen that a lot with PlayStation. And even Xbox has done it to some extent, and a lot of other third parties. Or you're seeing sequels. And there's a point at which, look at Assassin's Creed. What are you going to do? We're going to go another 10 years on Assassin's Creed, reboot that franchise again? Like, and we're going to do another 10 years of Assassin's Creed? In some circumstances that works, like Call of Duty. In some circumstances that works, but not for every game and not for every publisher. And we can't live and sit on live service games forever. Look at Destiny 2. Those games have a life and a cycle that does end. So, yeah. So AI, I think, is just another way to mitigate that risk, that cost, and keep bringing us the AAA experiences that we want. So I see it as a positive. And this is not just because I'm an Xbox guy, because I got a lot of that in the community when I commented on it. It's got nothing to do with the fact that I'm Xbox. It's just got to do with where I see AAA gaming going. And I'm worried. 6,000 layoffs in a year that we have some of the best fucking games like ever. Banger after banger, and we're seeing 6,000 layoffs. That should be concerning to you as a gamer. That means that we're losing, and Alana Pierce made a really good point here. Some of those people will now get out of the industry because it won't be the first time they've been laid off. And they will get out of the industry, and you will lose all that experience because it's not a stable industry for them to be in. And if it's not a stable industry for them to be in, and we lose that experience, what happens is we have less skill, less knowledge, and we get worse experiences because of that, or experiences that take longer. So yeah, I personally see this as a positive. There's dangers to this as well. I understand that. Like, there could be points at which, people do lose their jobs, but they can shift into other areas. So look, I want to jump to the panel. I know that was a really long rhetoric. I had a fair bit to say about it, and I'm not sure if the panel does, but I hope you guys do, because this is pretty exciting to have AI that reacts to you in real time with its own sort of personality. I think that's really cool. That's something that we've been waiting to see. It's something that would benefit like GTA 6. Umbra, I'll jump to you and we'll work our way down the panel. How you feeling about this?
Well, beep boop bip, boop bip boop. 001100001. No, I'm sorry. So seriously, the whole tech talk thing. I know a little bit about it. I have been reading up on some of it. I think the fear of people losing their jobs, I do understand it, that fear. And we have lost a lot of people this year, 6,000 plus employees, and I'm sure there's going to be more, in particular with the Activision situation, although that's not something that's blamed on AI, but there's just redundancy in that case. But I do understand that fear. And I don't think it's all the way misplaced because, yeah, AI will alleviate some jobs. Like reading up on it, you find out AI does, or at least can, take up a lot of different tasks that somebody else may have been hired for previously. For instance, art, right? It used to be a case where, or it is cases when games are in pre-production and you're creating, like concept art, for instance. You might have concept artists that would you typically draw out what these characters or world might look like. Well, now they have AI that can easily do that and far quicker and more efficiently. For instance, Blizzard uses it with their what they call Blizzard Diffusion. It's an image generator that they train on their own titles, like World of Warcraft, for instance, and it produces concept art for them with their new ideas. Now, that's the downside of that, is that you have the case where these things can take up, possibly take up jobs from people that might use it in that way. Then there is the benefit too, the at least to us as gamers. That's the only part that comes to, I guess, that benefits, is that us as gamers and people who own them, as what's the word I'm looking for here, as execs, It's the games can get pumped out quicker instead of taking, because nowadays AAA gaming is taking upwards of, as we know, 6 years, 8 years sometimes. And so AAA gaming costing as much as it costs now, it can bring down costs. They can get the game out quicker. And because of that, we benefit as gamers in that sense that we get the games quicker. I don't know how devoid of soul it'll be necessarily, but we do get that. So a lot of execs believe within 5 to 10 years, AI could manage more than half of the game development. Now, with that in mind, yeah, you have to believe that there will be some job losses there, right? I think it only makes sense. So I do get where she's coming from with it, but I think also that she is fairly short-sighted on it and lacks a lot of info on it. And I think we all do. I'm still learning right now. And the reason I say that is because she says, I will never, she was so declarative saying she would never play any game that uses this specific thing with InWorld AI. And it's like, Alana, you do know your company that you work for at Sony uses AI, right? You do know that. You do know that you've been playing a game, for instance, Watchdog Legions, which uses AI. It uses Ghostwriter, as they call it, the Ghostwriter AI, which produces all types of things for them. I believe dialogue and other things. So I think a lot of us, and I get that. I think it seems like the right thing to say, and I think because of that, people will typically jump to, well, no, protect the human, protect the workers, and all of that. But I'm like Gray Monad in the chat, where I welcome our AI overlords, and I want them to know that, I prefer to. Yes, I prefer to still be able to taste the steak, much like my man in the Matrix. You can plug everybody else in. Just let me, taste some steak every now and then. No, but seriously, I do get some of that. But I think if you're looking at it from the exec point of view, which is unfortunate to the worker, and if you're looking at it as a consumer, we reap the benefits of that because these games can be produced faster. There is a, as you would like to say, a caveat though, Riskit. No tomatoes for me. A caveat. A lot of indie developers could use this and really grow their business, right? For instance, I mentioned it on the show yesterday, and I said, look at the team that made Grounded, for instance. A lot of these passion projects and stuff like that, a lot of these teams put out, it was like 12 developers, 13 developers that made Grounded. Now I think went up to like 19, as I was told. So with that in mind, they could be using AI, for instance, and churn out something well above their pay grade. You know what I mean? They can churn out something well above a small AA budget and possibly produce higher quality, not necessarily AAA, but higher quality results in a faster, more efficient time with the small team. So it can benefit devs too, in a way. Mm-hmm. I just think there has to be a happy medium that happens with this. That's the thing.
You're always going to need that curated content. But like for your example, with reference to Grounded, this InWorld works mostly with AI in-game NPCs. So if you think about Grounded in-game NPCs, and how much, I don't know, I'm not a developer, but I would imagine it would have taken, it's always going to take some time to obviously track your NPCs, tell them that they need to behave like this, this is the path they're going to walk. This is the area that they sort of exist in, you know what I mean? When you go into Grounded, there's areas with spiders and then there's areas with ants, and they're all sort of broken up, right? But if AI could do that in less than a day, I imagine that then you could spend, there's also the benefit. Like, what if you don't get rid of the developers and then like developers go, cool, right, I was an AI guy, now I'm going to be a graphics guy and I'm going to work on the graphics. And they didn't fire me. I just shifted my focus now because I don't need to do this too much. And then we, maybe we could have got more of a realistic looking Grounded, just as an example, or it could have come out quicker. So yeah,
True.
there's definitely benefits, especially for gamers, to this.
It does, and over time, as we all know, with anything technology wise, it's going to get better and better, right? And so I can definitely understand that fear because they know it too. They know that it's possible that their jobs can be become redundant. It could become unnecessary because AI can just do it faster, better, more efficient, and possibly, just alleviate the need for those people to have to pay a human to do something that takes way more time.
Mhm.
And AI can do there's a lot of potential for it in the use of game making, such as, I mean, it's when you look into it, it's crazy because you see stuff like story generation and use with NPCs and stuff like that, right? So you can create entire chat functions with this, using that game assets from making up maps that we would use in gaming. Like, like we always, you marvel at stuff like, look at Oblivion's map, or look at Skyrim's map. Look how, the Bethesda put this together. Or you look at, I don't know, GTA. Oh, wow, look at that map size. And then you have an AI that can create all of that for you and map that out. It's pretty crazy, actually, I think. So it's a lot of things that it can go into that I see why people be afraid. And even voicing. Like, we already know, too, that AI can do voices. So it gets scary at a point. So I do understand that fear. So I don't want to completely write her off on that when it comes to that. But I will say that she's short-sighted in not knowing that it's not in-world AI here with Microsoft is not the beginning, and it won't be the end. Her own company uses it. You know what I mean? So if she's so declarative that she will never play any game that uses in-world AI or AI in general, she's probably going to have to get out of gaming in a few years. It's going to be real.
The other thing with that, though, is she obviously is in development. I think she's working on, she does story.
Mhm.
But I imagine, and this is obviously not this is just me ruminating, right? Caveat. I imagine that she is echoing the sentiment of developers. I imagine that that's sort of a fear in the developer hub. But I get every time we've had tech, that can do a job that someone was already doing. Like, people lose their jobs, but this is not something that people can't prepare for. You can shift your focus into something else within development that AI can't do. Pete, where are you at?
It's not just gaming, Chris, as well. There's a massive strike going on with the Writers Guild in Hollywood at the moment, and their massive fear is they're going to lose their jobs. And I think it's the gaming industry is a little bit late to that party, but it's all the same thing. So that fear is always going to be there. That's a lot of people's incomes. The way I see it is I do think some people will lose their jobs. I think that's going to be inevitable. But I think in creative industries, and they're going to be more resilient to losing their jobs than other industries because you need humans to be creative. You need humans to write stories. I don't think that that initial structure needs to be outlaid by a human, I think. And then I think that like those AI tools will then benefit um, these developers to make
That's
better games.
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that yes, this is NPCs, but if you let's say GTA 6, because that's a topic we got for later on. That's coming up for an announcement. Well, that's a bit of hopscotch in my language. Yes, good. But like, if you are doing all of your AI is doing all of your NPCs, but you're doing the curated content. Maybe you need a couple less devs, or if you're smart, you put all those devs onto that curated content. It gets done quicker, right?
I'll ask this: who owns it then? Because this has been one of the big topics about AI that I've looked into it a little bit. Who owns that content if it's created by an AI? Does that game company then still own it? Because that's one of the big issues that everyone's talking about, and it's something that I don't actually know the answer to.
Yeah,
Yeah, if the game developer studio or whatever, yeah, if they use that thing, because these tools are typically like attuned to their specific projects. Like, for instance, I was mentioning Blizzard with their Blizzard Diffusion. They own that. So anything generated from that, they own. So I believe it's going to be a case where they use the AI and they have proprietary rights, to whatever creations come
If
out of it, I'm guessing.
ChatGPT comes up with the story, Who owns that story? Like, is it owned
I
by
guess
Rockstar?
nobody. I guess
Like, yeah,
nobody.
exactly. Which then opens up a whole nother can of worms because you
Mhm.
can't really steal the property because it doesn't belong to you in the first place. So I think it's like really interesting and really nuanced, and I don't think we're going to see, the full out, like what's going to happen. I think it's just going to have to play out. I do like some aspects of it, so I don't think it's all negative as well. I really like the sounds of, say, when you ask an NPC a question and that AI can then be more nuanced in its answer instead of having like a scripted and an always scripted response. So things like that I think can be really, really cool. Remember those old games back on the Commodore 64 when you'd type in, say, open the door or what do you want to do now? And I think like I go back to those games and think, oh my, everyone was saying, oh my goodness, the computer knows what they're talking about. It's like AI, they can, answer your questions. It's just, I think it's like a massive step up, and it's only been 40 years. So, yeah, crazy how much we've come along since those days.
You know what I would say on the story thing, just to before you move on. I would say if a company used it, like for instance, Chat GPT, and came up with a story or whatever, right, for a product, I'm pretty sure they would get it trademarked anyway. So they would own it at the end of that anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there would be a way to.
The thing with ChatGPT is so it takes say you want to make a blonde character in a game. They'll get all pictures of all blondes like that are on the internet and then create a character. So do the people they take the picture off like have any ownership of it?
They don't.
Yeah, it's incredibly
Yeah.
nuanced.
They don't, because that's already become up as far as the topic. I remember they were talking about that with I forgot, it was some people's artwork. Yeah, and they exactly, and they were saying something along the lines of, well, they taking all of these aggregates and such, and people were like, well, it's on creation essentially, because they're not just using your thing, they're aggregating all these different things to make something brand new essentially.
Yeah,
So they have no real ownership of it.
that's fair use. That's what you call fair use. Nothing
Yep.
like really. We're at a point in time, removing AI from the conversation. We're at a point in time where nothing is completely original. You've got inspiration from somewhere, whether you tried to or not. You've seen something and someone's done something or said something. That sticks with you, and nothing's completely original at this point. And that's really sort of how humans sort of learn. But that's going completely off topic.
Yeah, I
Blue.
think a lot of it's going to come down. No, I was just going to say, I think a lot of it's going to come down to like how ethical the developers are. So if you can get an AI to develop, like, say, a character, a voice character, so something that you like to do, Umbra. You could be a voiceover for a character, but then they could then using AI generate like a voice character without actually having to use a voice actor. I don't think they would actually do that. I think they just go out and get the voice actor. But
You
I
never
suppose it
know.
just depends on how ethical, they want to be. There will be massive pushback if they do things like that. But I mean that I foresee massive pushback in the future when it comes to things like that.
Well, when we
Well, they
say
already have it now. Yeah, they have literally. Yeah, SAG after is it after
Yeah, SAG-AFTRA.
Aftra.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
I know it's something with an R in it. I'm like, is it after? But yeah, they already talked about that, and a lot of people were talking about, hey, they can't use this for that to generate not only script writing but definitely voiceovers and all the other type of. It's kind of insane how advanced this AI stuff is, and knowing how much better it's going to get in the next 10 years, actually. So like I said, I definitely do get that fear if you really look at it in a real way. Like, damn, yeah, these people might lose their job. It's actually a good point when you really think about it.
yeah, but it's this is the thing.
Piss off, Monad. I'm great at jumping.
He's terrible. You're always going to need
How do you put that in there?
you're always going to need like someone to monitor that. So say you've got someone script writing, you wouldn't just like go AI write the script, boom, there you go. Like that's not going to happen. Like you're going to need someone to sort of overlook the script, and you're going to need a script writer, at least one, to overlook that and go, nah, that's bad. But hey, like at the moment, I don't think that AI script writing could do. Disney should get in on that because at the moment they seem to be struggling with the writing. But Blue, I don't know how you feeling.
I agree.
How you feeling about this? You think that this is good, bad, sort of in the middle, like possibilities for good, possibilities for bad? Where you at?
Well, I don't. I just look back to technology has evolved drastically, right? Um, in a very short amount of time, and so we're here now, and you know, the jobs that we have will only be created because of new technology. So I think it's just something that every new technology is scary because obviously it impacts people in a very personal way. And of course, you don't want anyone to lose their job or, have issues with things like that. But at the same time, we have to adapt with new things because, um, you never want to stifle innovation. Perfect example. But AI can be a super awesome, useful tool. Like, for example, at my job, we were creating a new program and we spent many, many thousands of dollars hiring a marketing company to, um, sort of provide some logos, provide some ideas of names, research, if websites or names had been taken, that kind of thing. And they brought us a long list of possible names for the new program, and none of them really kind of hit the mark. And I said, if I'm going to be the one running this program, it needs to be something, that hits, right? And I don't like any of this stuff. So we sat on it and we said, okay, let's just continue on some of the work that we're doing. And then like a month or two later, we for shits and giggles, we went into ChatGPT and just said, give us a list of program names that involve or that could facilitate this thing plus this thing plus this thing plus this thing. And it gave us a list of, I don't know, 20 different options. And we did it a couple different times, tweaked, the criteria that we put into it. And I'm telling you, we got 5 names off of that list that were far better than anything that had come out of the thousands of dollars we spent with the marketing team. So, then of course we need to go back to the marketing team and ask them like, okay, vet these now and see like, are they feasible? Are they taken? All that stuff. But it's a perfect example of how you can kind of use AI to assist. It's not taking anybody's job. There's still a lot of other things to do. And there's a lot of nuances. And just because ChatGPT shoots out 5 different names and they sound great to us, there's a lot of other implications and things that you have to think about that the computer can't quite do, right? And all of this computer aided stuff is really just an amalgam of everything that humans have done, right? And it can't, like to your point, right? It can't create new things. It can't be, as far as like innovation and ideas of its own, it can't be the next Sam Lake, right? Um, so even in using AI in game development, certainly I do think it can super help, move things along faster, but it's still the human element, it's still the touch, it's still the vibe that the director is going for, it's still the sound that they're going for, or the tone is not quite right, because that is an inherent, like, that is an ineffable thing. You can't put in a computer to give you a specific tone and it understand exactly what you're saying. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of opportunity for growth with it. And the finals, the beta game that was just up for a couple weeks, which did huge numbers, they used AI to generate the voices in the Overwatch characters and things for that, and it sounded fine. I think AI for voicing is probably a good like placeholder thing for people to sort of do an infancy development to see, just to have something read them back. But I don't necessarily think that voice acting is going away. I do think obviously that will limit the opportunities that there are, but I don't think they would permaban or just not ever hire voice actors. but it certainly does make people have to pivot in what their jobs are.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but so I mean, for me, I just think this is where we've been headed. What, as a gamer, I've sort of wanted. I've wanted a world, uh, in a world. I've wanted a world where I go into the world, and you maybe you talk to, let's say, Starfield. So you talk to your Bethesda, character or whatever, and then you get to the end of that dialogue, and then it's either a repeat or a fob off to send you on your way, right? But what if you could talk to, like your NPC, and they literally have a conversation, um, and create a lived-in experience, So it feels like, and if they are reacting to you real time, and within the world, like they have knowledge in this program, because I did a bit of research into InWorld. In the program, you can create, so you can give a character knowledge of the lore of the world. You can give a character, absolutely, you can make it feel like it lives there, right? And then you can tell it the player's name. You can then have that thing just operate within a world like it has agendas, like it has things to do, like it's really living in the world. Um, and that to me is like where we're headed next, with the AI, with NPCs, making these worlds fully live and breathe. If you want to talk about the metaverse, this is where it's going to go. Because you can't live in a world, I mean, in a video game world, and have those emotional, like proper emotional attachments like you would to a person. I mean, I can't. You can build characters and all that sort of stuff, but you wouldn't get emotionally attached to an NPC. But what if you could? What if an
I
NPC?
think it depends on the game risk. Like, I don't think it'll work well in The Witcher because I think those scripted responses are great. But what about a game
No,
like
no, 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 but
Second Life? I mean,
no,
people
it would
already
work.
went crazy with that game.
It would work. This is what I'm saying. Like, so you would need your curated content. So you'd need your curated NPCs to send you on side quests and stuff like that, and they would still be curated, right? And created. But the NPCs that live in the world around all of that curated content could create for you a feeling of really living in the world. So it absolutely would work in
Does
The
it
Witcher.
ever come to a point where it's too much? Like too much content where you're just talking to them for talking to them's sake? I get it in a game like Second Life. Yeah, like I mean, I know people that like they bought the moon and crazy stuff like that and paid real money for it and got virtual girlfriends and like say a game like that. I think would work in a scripted game. Will it ever get too much? Like, why would you want to talk to an NPC going about their day for an hour? I mean, doesn't it become a little bit
But
redundant, a little bit
It's
pointless?
not that you would, you just could.
there
Uh,
Like,
but there are sites that are actually developing dating AI sites. So like screw the real world, women suck or men suck or whatever it is you're into. And I'm not doing that anymore. I need a partner that understands me. I'm going to go on this dating app, and it's literally go in and find an AI to date. That's a thing that's going on right now. So
yeah.
there are people
Yep.
out there who want to disconnect from people that hurt them, right? And just go the AI route because it's safer, right?
So you telling me I can go get myself an AI woman right
You
now?
you can go
You
get
can, yeah.
Scarlett Johansson AI. Go for it.
Hey
Yeah,
Pete, let's
she
do this,
But
man. We wasted enough time with these ladies, man. Let's listen. Riskit
guess
has
what?
his
She's a
missus
cheap date
already.
too.
Yeah, we about to get. Listen, I'm about to pull up with Janet Jackson AI real quick. Y'all done for.
I would
All
just
right.
I'll go Jessica Alba, bro.
I just named my
Okay. Yeah, I'll
hair.
let you.
Like,
Yeah, you go ahead with her. She's ambiguous. Yeah, but you
called
go
it
ahead with her.
Diana.
Diana.
Treats me right.
Treats you nice.
but
Real nice, like.
Blue's right. Like, there is actually, that is actually happening now. So it's a mobile app where, you wake up in the morning and your AI girlfriend texts you like, "How was your night? Like, what was blah blah blah?" And then through the day, and you have conversations with it. But like, I'm not saying that you would like it could create like some of these like moments that you would never have with the AI that you have now, because the AI walks to the blacksmith. It pretends to have a conversation with the blacksmith, and then it turns around and goes back to its bucket, stands at its bucket for 5 minutes, and then it goes back to the blacksmith. Like if you could create like a world where like, the AI wakes up in the morning, makes itself breakfast, heads out to the market, buys some, I don't know, tomatoes, bumps into friends on the way, starts having a conversation, goes back and makes tomato soup for breakfast for its kids. What, like, if you could create a fully lived in world, the type of immersion that you could create based off that AI is just astounding. I'm not saying that you'd hang out with it like all day and talk to it, like, and you'd still need your curated content, but this and just the time saving, because programming that AI to like walk from the bucket to the blacksmith and have that conversation, it's not an easy thing to do. If you can remove that, like that's you're cutting down AAA, especially of open world games, AAA development by possibly even years at this point.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that Microsoft Azure and what they're working on with that, with the cloud and the integration into gaming with that is going to help this. And this is the direction that game's been going for a while. So yeah, whenever humans, move forward and create something, there's always fear and anxiety around that. I don't think it's going to be the end all. I don't think we're going to see Skynet anytime soon, guys.
But what if
Yeah,
you could
it's
create a
very
Terminator
interesting,
game
nuanced comment.
with a real Skynet? How cool would that be? And then it like actually like in the game, it may or may not like lose its shit and decide to kill everyone. Like we don't know.
Oh, they'll see how you fight in there and then pattern itself off real life and murder you. Like, oh, you think you can take me? No, so I saw two interesting comments in the chat, and I wanted to talk on it really quickly. Kind of off topic to a degree, but how do you say this name? 50th. It says AI could be used for franchises that the main voice actor had passed, and we could keep the consistency. Like, I personally wouldn't necessarily be against that in some cases, provided the family and all of them are for it, and the actor maybe signs up for that before death, right? If they say, hey, yeah, that's fine.
Paul Walker.
Yeah, stuff like that I would be fine with.
Franchise. Yeah.
Yep, good point.
And,
like stuff like that, and what's that?
And Princess Leia in Star Wars.
True. Stuff like that I wouldn't necessarily be against, because I thought that was pretty creative, seeing that with Leia, for instance, like you talked about, and going back where they can make a young looking
You just
Luke
call her
and
Leia.
stuff. Did I say Leia? Or I thought I said Leia.
Yeah, you said Leia. Yeah,
You said Leia.
yeah. I just want to add that
Leia.
there was the best bit in the movie,
It's just
like
my-
when she
It's
like
just my thick Chicago accent.
she like
so.
died, and then while she was dead, she learnt the Force,
Shut up.
and then came back to life. That's honestly some of the best AI writing I've ever seen.
Absolutely. But like stuff like that, and then I don't have an issue with that necessarily. I mean, if they did it without consent, it's a problem. But if it's consented to and signed off for, I'm not going to be like, well, argue against that. It is what it is. And it was another one from Serve.
Emotional, damn it.
It's very, very late. Yeah.
What the hell? And Serve made a good point where he, or I guess, well, I don't know, point. But he says, I don't want to live in a world where we record the audio of our family members and then talk to them after they are dead. I can see that being a bit creepy, but then at the same time, man, off topic. Yeah, off topic. I would actually love to be able to hear my grandmother again. I would love to be able to hear my brother again, or my little cousin, knowing that I never will hear their voice again. I've forgotten sometimes how they sound here and there. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I kind of get what you're saying there, but I mean, I think that would be like emotional damage, like Riskit used. That would be applicable.
That wasn't me.
Imagine that.
That wasn't me. I would
Oh,
never.
that wasn't you.
I would never go that late. That's way too late.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that would be. I think personally that would be kind of cool
Like
in a
the,
way to be able to use that for that. I don't know. I think it could also bring comfort to people who maybe want to just hear, even if they know it's not really them speaking. They know that's their voice. I think that could bring comfort. I think that could help a lot of people, actually, personally.
Is that a good thing? I mean, this is getting off like off video games, but fuck it, let's do this. Is that a good thing though, right? Because then I get what you're saying. Like, You know, we've all lost people, but for instance, my
Yeah.
best friend that I
I've
grew up
got
with,
an old VHS.
that's like a brother, right? And
Mhm.
you know, it'd be interesting to, I guess, hear his voice again, because I sort of forget what he sounds like, you know, or you forget what people look like. But does that inhibit you from moving on, like as a person? Like it would
It
like
Depends on
depends
the
on
person.
the type. It depends on the person. I've got an old VHS video of my grandma, um, and I can't find it. I know it exists, but I cannot find it anywhere. And I don't know. Like it depends on the person, bro. In all honesty, it can hinder you
Mhm.
from moving on.
well, that's a good point as well, because like say Umbra, like, or anyone that wants to jump in, say you have an old video that you want to watch, or you watch to sort of like, you know, just when you're thinking about that person. Because I mean, you know, like I grew up in a time where there was just VHS, and like cameras were like, you know, when I was young, when we were young, they were, you know, like, you know, twice the size of your head, right? You needed like shoulders to carry those fucking things. They weighed like a ton. But like, but
Mhm.
so there's not many videos. But now we live in a world where, like, if you do lose someone, it's very likely you've got video footage. I guess you could watch it, but like, what if you could make that into new content? I mean, it's not content, but you could make that react to you, or you could have a conversation with it. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that'd be
It's
It's
not
tough.
not
too
just people
dissimilar
who
to
died,
Minority
though.
Report. Yeah, it's not too dissimilar to Minority Report when he sits there and he watches, his family. And I think that new
Mhm.
movie, 65 Million Years, when he's watching his daughter, in old videotapes. Now they're not interacting with him, but you can see in both those instances, like the hurt and the pain of actually watching something like that. And I think it'd be very similar to that.
Blue, what were you going to jump in?
I was just gonna say it's not just people who have passed on. I mean, people, some people have a really hard time dealing with breakups. What if
Yeah.
you started doing this stuff with somebody who's alive, and then you've got all this AI generated content of somebody who's actually alive, and then, you know, you've lost it enough, you post it somewhere or something, and now it's somebody's likeness and voice,
Oh,
like,
wow.
that
That's
they
a fair
didn't
point.
Wow.
do.
Yeah.
Wow.
See
Yeah.
what he said about me? He said it.
It's
Yeah,
all
that's a
dark
fair
web
point.
stuff, right?
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
fair
look,
point.
and going further, I think they did like a president's speech, and it wasn't actually the president talking, and then that can be put out to the world and create World War III. Like this is this opens up a massive can of worms, and I don't know if the world's ready for it yet.
But then also, like, so we've had developers. I think it was Naughty Dog, actually, and I think it was Last of Us 2 remaster or remake, whatever you want to call it. Last of Us 1, sorry, remake, remaster, whatever. They did lose a developer. Now, how cool would it have been to be able to put that developer in? I mean, would they want that? Would their family want that? Put that developer into the game, right? But I mean, with the breakup thing, I hear you, man. That's 110% going to happen. Like, I will likely do that.
I feel,
I
But
mean,
I
it's the
feel
deep fake stuff already, right?
yeah,
I
Like,
was gonna say
people
maybe
already
there's a
do.
way around it. Maybe there's a way to combat that though. They can possibly put in something in there that
I'm sure you could sue
let's
their
take.
ass and get,
Well, not just
you
that. I
know.
mean, maybe they can put something in it where it can decode if this was AI that used this voice. You know what I mean? And for
Oh,
cases
yeah.
like that where they have to take it to court or whatever.
like
Maybe
DRM.
there's a way
Yeah,
around
but you
that.
know,
Yeah, some type of like a DRM, exactly.
But tech always has somebody who knows how to do a workaround. It's
Yeah, that's
always
true too.
going to have somebody who knows how to get around it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not looking at it from the cynical way though. I want to look at it as the positive.
I mean,
Moral of the story, don't be a jerk to any of your people when you break up with them, because
yeah, it's true.
Listen.
I've always sort of lived by that modicum. Like
Well,
have
yeah.
never been terrible to people I've broken up with. Just while I'm in the relationship, not afterwards.
After the fact, I'm really nice to them, but just during, so you
Yeah.
about to catch hell. No, but like, yeah, no, like for me, why am I about to go into detail about that? What the hell is wrong with me? Anyway, I was going to say, I literally was about to go into detail.
Light the fireplace. Give me
Nah.
more.
You know what? That's never mind. Let's move on.
This is beside the fire with Umbra.
Right.
Hang on a minute, we're not
Thank
at
you
an
for
Xbox
joining my
party.
TED Talk.
What's going on?
Emotional, damn it.
All right, look, we will move on to the next topic because we did go very far off track video gaming, which we don't do often, but I feel like that is a topic that you sort of need to, right? You sort of need to dive into it. There's a lot more to sort of unpack, and it's something that we're all dealing with on a daily basis as human beings in the world. You know, our phones are listening to us. You know, if I talk about carpet tomorrow, I'm going to get 3 carpet advertisements. Like, you know, that if I'm talking about carpet, that you lay on the floor, you know what I mean. So like, we'll move on to the next. We'll move on to the next topic. The Baldur's Gate devs found some fucking overhead. Get out of town. This is an interesting one, right? Because a lot of people, I can't remember the tweet that they put out, but a lot of people are sort of referencing that tweet as the Baldur's Gate 3 guys were complaining or throwing shade at the Series S, and I don't remember it like that. All I remember is saying that they were having problems with the Series S, and they were trying to get it done, but they would have to release the PlayStation version first. So I don't feel like it was throwing shade. I feel like there's a lot of Xbox guys, a lot of guys that I talked to that took this personally. They're like they were just lazy or whatever. And like one of the guys that I know who's a developer is sort of taking that sort of tact and saying, you know, that's what you get when you use an old engine and all that sort of stuff. And like I can see that too, right? But first of all, I don't think it was it wasn't like a personal attack on the Series S. I didn't see that from Larian Studios at all. And casual, if you listen to this after the fact, Baldur's Gate's still a trash game. So I just want you to know that. The other thing is, like, they were working on it, right? And I see it as this, and you guys can push back on this, is that if you get to the root cause of the problem, this is Xbox's fault. Now, people are going to get upset about that. I said that, right? But in the way that they have implemented all these tools in the hardware, and yes, they've got speeds and feeds that show you how to use it, right? But they haven't gone out, and it's new tech. Like, it was very new tech at the beginning, right? And they haven't really gone out and done the work with developers, as far as I can tell, early on. And they didn't have the teams to do so. And so I sort of feel like if you get to the root of the problem, this is Xbox not doing enough to have their tech implemented. Because, and someone said, I think earlier in the chat, and they were talking about this, is that, or it might have been on Twitter, the games are built generally quite often for PlayStation first, which is old tech, right? Very similar tech to the last generation. So, yeah, I sort of feel like Xbox should have done more to have the tech implemented. That said, the tech's there, and the devs could also just learn themselves to use it, right? Yes. But the developers did find they've got a reduction, 34% reduction in VRAM usage for the Series S version, which means that we very likely, I believe it was 25% that was sort of lacking. So we're in the co-op. So I think it was, or it's 25% overhead that they just didn't have. So I think that it's very likely we're going to get that co-op on the Series S. I want to kick it to the panel. I know you guys in the chat are going to have a go at me. And yes, Serve, I know you can say this is not Xbox's fault, but I like to go. So look, let me address that, and I'll go to the panel. Look, so yes, Larian could have themselves figured this out, absolutely. But you're talking about a business that needs to get a game out the door. This thing's been being developed, I think, for like 5+ years. Then there's not an endless stream of money coming in, right? And so the biggest pool is going to be PC. So they're developing for PC first, right? Then the other thing is, and PC's VRAM is probably not an issue, and if it is, then you just can't play the game. The biggest pool is on PC. The next biggest pool for them was PlayStation, right? So they have to focus on that as a business. And if you're Xbox and you're third in the market, the thing to do is to get over to those studios that need your help and help them with the hardware, help them with implementing that tech. And they could have done that better. There's lots of nuance to this conversation, but there is culpability on Xbox's side. I look, it just is a fact. So, and I don't want to like upset you guys, but I'm just saying that's sort of how I see it. The guys in the panel can completely see it differently. Blue, I'm going to jump to you straight off the bat. What do you think? Do you think this is just all on Larian, or has Xbox got some culpability because they haven't really sort of pushed their own tech? Or
I'm just annoyed by this. I'm like being a giant baby about this topic because I just feel like Larian should have held the Xbox version and should have held the PlayStation version and released it at the same time as the Xbox version. And I would feel that way if it was PlayStation that was held back too. It's petty, but it annoys me enough, especially because on the Xbox, to your point, right, we've seen that happen a couple times. More recently, and the closer together to when it came out on the PC and PlayStation, and I'm just kind of over it, and it annoys me. So I don't. Baldur's Gate 3, I was interested in it, but then when all of that stuff happened, I just went, nope, I'm good. I don't care. I'm not going to play. Well, I will play it eventually, but it's not going to be anything that I pick up when it comes out just because I feel kind of burned by it. And so this actually annoys me even a little bit more because then I'm like, oh, look, now they've finally got to a point where it sounds like they're going to be able to release the Xbox version soon. But now everybody else is getting even a better upgrade or, a better patch or whatever. So I'm just kind of meh and having a little tantrum in the corner about
that works for the Series X too. So the Series X is going to have more overhead, and so it's going to run a lot better, especially in that back end third act that we've heard so much about.
But they didn't release it. Which is an Xbox decision, right?
Yeah, but that's so. If there's a problem with implementing the tools, and how can I put this? So if you've got an apprentice that you're teaching how to do something, and you've got a whole bunch of tools, and he doesn't know how to use those tools, and then you tell him to go do it, and he does a shit job, is that the apprentice's fault, or is that your fault for not teaching him how to use the tools? Like that's how I look at how I look at Xbox. Xbox could have got out there and shown them and taken their tech teams out there because they do have them, taking their tech teams out there to assist with the problem. Like so, there is culpability on Xbox's side. Larian could have reached out earlier as well, and maybe Larian could have shut the fuck up on Twitter. Absolutely, but they didn't. Like it may have caused a lot of conversation that's detrimental to the Series S, but it was negative towards the Series S. But those conversations came from one side mostly, right? That's not Larian's fault that people are fucking babies. Like
the problem though is like we don't know how early did Larian tell them we're having a problem. We don't know that, right? They could have told them 2 months before launch, and that's not enough time, right? And then also the other thing that we don't know, and this could be entirely on Xbox, is the fact that, they had bought Bethesda and Redfall was coming out and they knew that was not a great situation. So they pivoted to Starfield and went all hands on deck and like tossed everything they had at it as far as tech and developer, right? To try to make sure that launched in a much better state than
it doesn't remove
it probably was. It could be, yeah, sure, but I'm just saying there's a lot of things that you don't know, and I'm not chilling for Xbox. It's not, like whatever to me. But yes, obviously they need to train people on. The same time, you don't know the communication back and forth. You have no idea what was going on behind the scenes. They could have even offered and then been like, no, I'm sure we'll figure it out. Who knows? I know you don't like it, but
Special Nick just replied to my tweet about being disrespectful and getting blocked, and he says West Coast sucks shit, so he's going to get blocked. That's disrespectful. Talking about my sports team like that, you're blocked, Nick.
I did say that Larian was going to be able to find more memory if they just optimized better. It was always an optimization issue, and anyone that's suggested otherwise, I hope I get an apology from, because quite frankly, I talked till I was blue in the face and no one really listened to me. It was always an optimization fault. Whether or not Riskit takes some blame, I don't know, bro. I think Holly's right. You just don't know the conversations that are held in the background. Larian's only a AA studio. They definitely focused their attention on where they thought that they were going to get most sales from, on the PlayStation. Should they have released both versions at the same time? Yes. Yes, I really believe that that's on Larian. And the disrespect that the Xbox community gets from not just Larian but other developers needs to be stopped. I think Microsoft really needs to talk to studios about that, and getting some kind of parity across. And if they're not going to do it, then delay the release. I just don't like that. Could Xbox could have helped more? Yes. The tools are new. Everybody knows that. No one's developed for this new tool set, and this is the first game they developed for it. The next game they release, they'll be much better. They've used this tool set
It'll
now.
be the
They'll
next
know.
Xbox. It'll be the same problem.
Well, no, because the tool set and the GDK will be exactly the same moving forward now. I mean, that's why it's easier to develop for PlayStation. They've continued to use that same tool set since, the PlayStation 4, which makes it very easy to program for. Microsoft wanted to get PC and Xbox using the same tool set, which is why, people are struggling. But yeah, like I said, I think, when we're talking about this the first time, they've learned to smooth over those rough edges now. They've learned to optimize, and get, the best out of the system now. So hopefully going forward, we don't need to talk about this anymore.
Well, I think we are going to.
I'd love to never talk about this game again.
Oh, we definitely are gonna. Baldur's Gate is trash infinite. I've heard you
But
say
we're
that
going to
many
talk
times.
about it when it wins Game of the Year. So, saying.
We already talked about that.
Don't you say that Starfield is going to win it? No, I'm joking.
So where are you at? Do you think
get
that
quiet for
Xbox has
anybody
got
else.
some culpability here? You think this is all on Larian? Is the Series S
I think it's 90% on Larian, 10% on Xbox.
Yeah, is the Series S a potato? Like, where are you feeling? How you feeling, Umbra?
Potatoes, boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. No, as far as it goes with this, clearly I think it's on both. I don't know how to put it percentage wise. I mean, Microsoft put out a device that takes more time to work on. The problem becomes that these studios don't necessarily have that time to optimize and put that into fruition, right? For a lack of a better word right now. That's part of the issue. Whereas they have, I guess, the more powerful X and the PS5, where it has that overhead. So I guess it's a bit of both. That's what it seems to be the case. Whatever the case of it is, I do agree with Holly that maybe then just delay and get both out at the same time if you don't have those things set up. But then they have to get their money too. So I don't know how that all works out. What I will give Larian credit for is that I didn't really see them kind of downing Xbox. They've defended them actually. So it's not like they were like, yeah, it's Xbox fault or anything like that. They were just saying, no, we have to.
That's smart marketing.
It's that too.
You would want to hope so.
Well, I think it's more than that though. And because I've seen the guy on Twitter and he's defended them. He didn't have to. He's going to tweets just all over the place and has defended them when he had no need to do so. When people were trying to throw the Series S under the bus, and he was like, no, it's not that. We're going to get it out. It's just that we have to learn this, this architecture. We have to get this right. It's more to work with to learn, et cetera, So I will give Larian credit that they have been upright when it comes to that type of stuff. So I don't know how to split it on culpability as far as who was at fault, but I'll just say I'm glad that they figured it out. You know what I mean? I think that's the more positive thing for all of us as gamers. I don't care to assign blame versus being happy to celebrate that they're getting it right. And I'm hoping this leads to more studios getting it right going forward as far as the Series S is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, and
that's very adult of you.
It's very adult of you. This is the thing, though. Like from these learnings, all these things that keep happening, you're going to get better games out of Larian, and this is just going to take time. And to Pete's point, to Pete's point earlier on, like it's very likely they'll probably stick with an extremely similar GDK, or DirectX 13 will be very similar to what we have now, and should be easier to develop for, hopefully. Um, but I mean, I guess my position has never been that the Series S tech is a mistake. It's more my position is that I think the Series S implementation and the way that they released it into the market on the developer side was a mistake. They made that mistake, and they need to do. I believe they need to do better going forward. Like I know there's cost involved in this, but wouldn't the cost have outweighed the bad press that Series S has had they put together, a couple of teams to deal with the hardware side of things and go out there and help devs to develop their games? Maybe hindsight's a beautiful thing. So maybe I don't know. Maybe it's too costly. Maybe they could never do that. But I just feel like they could have done more, in my personal opinion. So yeah,
Yeah, I agree, Risk. I agree, and it depends on how much you want to dedicate to, Larian Studios. I mean, who knew Baldur's Gate 3 was going to be this big? Microsoft was thinking they were going to have to pay what, $5 million or something like that to get it on Game Pass. It's done a hell of a lot better than that.
Yeah.
So I think kudos to Larian for what they're able to do with Baldur's Gate 3 with such a small studio. But I think Microsoft need to do better going forward as well. And I think that comes with, Matt Booty's job. And why we talked about Matt Booty and why we thought that he needs more help, because he's just got so much on his plate right now that I don't think he can, manage all these studios that, I think this is too many.
Well, no, that's a good point. Like, it's not a topic, but like on that, because we had a lot of conversations about Matt Booty, it seems like he has got a team, or they've sort of created a team underneath him. So they're advertising for his previous position, I think head of Microsoft Studios, and he's sort of handling the Bethesda arm, and the Bethesda arm reports directly to him through someone who is sort of in his position at Bethesda, and then the Microsoft Studios guys will report to him as well. So they've created like a sort of an extra level where Matt can sort of help to manage both teams, and it seems like he does have teams underneath him. I guess though, I was sort of thinking like with Matt's job, he needed more under him, support under him, instead of being pushed up above and then having someone fill those positions beneath him. Umbra?
But didn't they give it to Alan Hartman for his old position? Doesn't Alan Hartman have Matt Booty's previous thing? Because he's now the head of Xbox Game Studios, Alan Hartman.
Yeah, right. Well, they were advertising for it. There was a thing on LinkedIn. Yeah. So that's quite interesting. And they might, maybe it was like an under Alan Hartman. Yeah, so, I mean, maybe, oh, no, that's right. They did give it to Alan Hartman. You're quite right. My bad. They weren't advertising. He did get the role, but it was really quiet, right? It wasn't like a fully announced thing. He just sort of turned up on Alan Hartman from Turn 10. Is it Turn 10? Yeah, I think it is.
That's right.
Yeah. So, you're right. You're absolutely right. My bad.
It's all good.
So then if he's handling, I mean, that's a good thing, but like, have they backfilled the team underneath him? And if they did they use painkillers? That might be bad. But and so, yeah, I mean, that's a good point, man. Like, it seems like they're starting to work out pipelines with the president. We talked about this last week, but I sort of see that as a positive, and sort of see how that sort of turns out. But yeah, it was interesting to see that.
Mate. Yeah, definitely needs work going forward.
I didn't know that Matt Booty was an audio engineer for Midway. That's where he started his career. Really interesting. Anyway, that's completely off topic. Jax82 with the $9.99 super chat, $10 super chat. You're an absolute legend. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Says Riskit went to court to defend the Series S against public opinion, even me, on whether the Series S is holding back next gen. Riskit, you're right. It was never the Series S. Let's kill that narrative. Yeah, I do. I do battle it out on Twitter, and I'm going to stop doing it because it's draining. But yeah, it's not the Series S is not the problem. It's a lot of other things that are the problem in it, but it's also, I like to just say to people, it's not the devs Like, it's not just the devs. Like, not just the devs aren't. It's not just them. It's never just one thing. There's always a root cause, and the devs are just not it. I hate it when people get upset about that, but it's facts, man. Facts. And we talk about GTA 6 being announced. They announced that they would be announcing it in December. That's really all there is to say about this. Everyone's been looking forward to it for years. That's it.
Yes.
Someone said that there was it needed a battle royale. I can't remember who that was. That's really stupid. Someone quite big. They're like, it has to have. Oh no, it was Dr. Dumbass. Dr. Disrespect, I think. Didn't he say that?
He said that about Halo. I know
that. She's like, what? Dr. Dumbass Respect said, I think that
Stop it.
GTA 6.
That guy with the mullet.
Yeah, the mullet guy.
He said the mustache. He's a piece of crap.
Yeah. He said it would need
get wrecked.
It would need a battle royale to survive. But the game is like a battle royale. Like, it's pretty much when you play it online, it's battle royale all the time, right? So, I don't know. It sort of feels like whoever it is that said that didn't know what they were talking about. Whatever. We'll move on to the next topic. I just wanted to throw that out there. So we get an announcement for GTA 6. If you guys are looking forward to that, absolutely awesome. Before we do move on to the next topic, please hit that like button. If you hanging around in the chat and supporting us, we really appreciate it.
He only did that just to piss me off. That's it.
What do you mean? No. Disrespect is very disrespectful, and he's just a bit of a douchebag, really. And please the like button. Share us out. If you're new, hit the subscribe button. We go live, talk about what's going on in gaming every week at 7 p.m. EST now because the time's changed. And if you're in Australia and the East, it is the 11 a.m. And if you're in the West Coast, Best Coast, 8 a.m.
Where no one's from.
I'm from here. FromSoftware is making an exclusive PS5 game. This comes by way.
Oh shit!
Yeah, this comes by way of Reset Era, so we can ignore that leak and that rumor because it's probably just absolutely rubbish. Pete, I'm going to go to you because I know that this is near and dear, close to your heart. Bloodborne 2, PS5 exclusive. How do you feel?
Never going to happen. Would have happened already if it was going to happen. The amount of community feedback that have been craving for Bloodborne 2, just dying for that game. And I understand. I bought my PlayStation 4 to play Bloodborne. It's an amazing game. It's just not going to happen, guys. FromSoftware have moved on since then. Bloodborne was the apology letter that PlayStation gave to FromSoftware after the whole Demon Souls debacle. Just not going to happen. This is, another one of those FromSoftware rumors.
Yeah. Reset Era. Sort of known for that sort of thing, aren't they? Crazy cats. There's not much to say on that one. I just don't think it's happening. Blue, do you think that this is a thing? Do you think we're going to get a FromSoft exclusive from PS5?
I think it's mostly unlikely. The only way I could see it being a reality, especially after FromSoft saw that multi-plat money from Elden Ring, is if Sony brought a big fat bag of cash, especially because we can all kind of see that Sony is maybe riding the panic bus a little bit. But even then, I think that's a bit of a stretch, but there is a world where that could be possible.
It would be great for Sony, but okay, if we think about it, how much would they have to pay FromSoftware now for exclusivity? I think I think you mentioned $500 million risk. I mean, this is never gonna make that money back. It's not gonna happen, and I think that money could be better spent elsewhere. If you're Sony right now,
what they would have to pay would only be worth it for the optics. It would not be monetarily a sound decision. Infinite, what do you think? Do you think PS5 is getting another FromSoftware exclusive, or you think that boat has sailed?
I wouldn't put it past them. I think that they have a good relationship with FromSoftware, and although Bloodborne didn't sell like gangbusters necessarily, once we saw the final sales, it sold well enough. And Sony is going to have to pad their third party anyway, going to next year. We already know about 6 of their live service games being delayed and likely being canceled later. They're just not saying canceled yet. I'm pretty sure they're going to cancel most of those. And so they're going to have to pad out their offerings for what, the PlayStation was exclusive wise. So I wouldn't put it past them to have something in the works from software. Actually, I don't know. Like, yeah, typically you see something from anybody claiming to be an insider with PlayStation, and you could pretty much write them off because they've been wrong every time. You know what I mean?
So
So
true, bro.
yeah, so I don't. I'm not saying it's certainty because they could be full of crap. However, I do see it being reasonable to expect that From Software would make something else exclusive with Sony. So I would say, yeah, I could see that happening. I don't know what it would be outside of maybe
So-
a sequel to Bloodborne or something like that. But yeah,
So here's my tinfoil hat theory with this, is that Xbox lost the one generation, right? Because they didn't have games. And it was a long, long time when they didn't have games. And or other things happened, of course, too, right? But Sony doesn't want to be not the one with the name of no games, right? And they want to keep their lead, and obviously ABK and all the other acquisitions have started to pressure Sony, right, to keep up or to keep going at the highest quality and the highest volume. So I could see if they are really in trouble first party wise, that they could go out and buy these gangbuster games and take a loss on those, not because they're looking at this generation and losing that money, but looking at staying the leader in the market for the long haul, So you do these short-term loss investments to stay the long-term leader and stay the one at the higher place in the market and keep the most money into your ecosystem.
Yeah,
That's my
that's optics, and I don't think that the amount of money it would have to be a Bloodborne 2. Like, possibly for a Bloodborne 2, I
Oh,
could
yeah.
see that. It would have to be a Bloodborne 2. It would
So
have to be
the
exclusive.
rumor is that they started game development on this game in early 2020. So if it is true, we should see something about it fairly soon.
Yeah. And you would hope
could
so.
be a
because-
timed exclusive.
Yeah.
This could actually be a timed and not a full exclusive.
Let's say that cuts it in half. Let's say it's 250 mil, right? So let's say it's around about there. So is that worth it? Is he still going to make that 250 mil back? I don't know,
Depends on
man.
what else you got
100%.
going
Yeah,
on.
and to Holly's point, I think that would be the reason to keep that, to keep that name recognition going. You want to be associated with From Software right now. I don't know what Fires the Rubicon did in terms of numbers, but it's not a Dark Souls-esque game. Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring just blew everyone away, and the price of whatever From Software did was skyrocketed after Elden Ring.
I don't know,
That
man.
game blew up.
I took
Game
some
of the year.
I took some points off for for not having a quest log. No one wants to go and check the internet to see what the hell's going on. I'm just saying.
Ridiculous.
It's true. It's
You're
true.
missing the
Risky,
point
you
of the
get
whole
good.
game.
I speak only facts. We'll move on to the next topic. And this is a bit of a negative one towards Xbox, guys, but I did want to call this out because we don't know why. There's a little bit of a speculation, but this is like nuts. When I did the math on this, I was like, holy shit. Before I do, please hit the like button, share us out. We go live every Friday at 7 p.m. EST. If you're in Australia, in the East, it is 11 a.m. And in the West Coast, Best Coast, it is 8 a.m. I just love saying West Coast, Best Coast. Thank you. Shout out to Snowbike Mike. So the price of the Series S, and it is only the Series S in Brazil, has shot up to 3,595 real. I think it's real or Rio or Raz.
Real. You're right, bro.
Real. There's no other price hikes to any other consoles. It doesn't make any sense. I was like, okay, well, 3,599 real sounds like a lot, but who knows? Let's crunch the numbers. In Australia, that would come out to $1,152 Australian. In the US, that's $739. This completely defeats the purpose of the Series S. And the Series X hasn't gone up, right? So it'd probably be sitting around about the same amount. So probably for, I don't know, maybe it's 4,000 real. I didn't quite look it up, but like, so for about 4,000 real, you can get a Series X. So this just ruins the Series S's little sort of spot in the market. I find this interesting and odd. I don't understand it, but like, Brazil is an Xbox country. Like, Xbox has Brazil. So this is like a really bad, really bad optically. And we've seen this a few times around the world. So yeah, I don't know. It's strange. I can't come up with the reason as to why they would do this. Pete, what do you reckon? Why would they do this?
I don't understand it, bro. It's got to be something else we don't understand. What's the difference now between the Series X and the Series S? I don't think it's going to be that much. Do you think they're pushing people towards the X? I don't know. And to your point, Risk, this is a Xbox friendly market. If anything, you don't want to be racing there aren't many markets where Xbox actually has the lead over PlayStation. This is one of them. The only thing that I could point to is maybe the economy in Brazil is even more broken now. And we know the problems that they're having, but yeah, this is baffling to me.
Yeah, maybe it falls under a different category to the other consoles, but in the tax bracket, but I couldn't see why you would do that. Like, it's odd. Umbra, what do you? It's a bit dumbfounding. Like, there's a lot of conspiracies around this, but people are frustrated in Brazil. Or
it does say now,
maybe someone else.
A while ago. This was a couple of weeks ago. It says that the price got reverted back. Am I like a little bit?
No. The Xbox came out and said no, the price is going to stick. So this actually was Xbox. It's not Brazil. Spider-Man 356 in the chat said it was Brazil that did this, not Microsoft. So I don't think they did. Maybe they did, but I mean, Xbox came out and refuted it. Umbra, you're muted if you're trying to talk, by the way. Holly, where are you? Yep. There he is. I bet he was like, but these people are talking over me. What's it?
Like, why won't they stop? Why won't they stop? Go ahead, Holly. I'll wait for you.
There's a lot of politics along the lines with Brazil that I keep hearing about. I am not super familiar with it, but I think they have a lot of economical issues, especially with imports and taxes on that stuff. And so I don't know if that affected it. It doesn't seem likely because it doesn't seem like the X has gone up in price, only the S. Maybe they're trying to phase out the white S and go to the black one with the terabyte. Seems unlikely as well to only start doing that in that country. It would be nice to know what price the black S is going for now in relation to this. But it's all very strange. And almost the stranger thing is, we saw a week ago the Game Pass for employees thing get reverted like instantly, right? Phil came back and was like, what? No, we're not doing that, right? And they just reverted that policy. But this Brazil thing has been floating around quite heavily on Twitter and the internet, and there's been a lot of coverage on it, especially even by Windows Central. And nobody Xbox has said anything. So it's fairly unusual for Xbox to just completely ignore things when they get kind of that big.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like maybe it's a import taxation policy thing or something that they're trying to not, discuss in public view, but just not sure. Strange.
Yeah, it is really strange.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would lean. Go ahead, Bruce.
Oh, I was just going to say, Bober in the chat says he thinks it's inflation-related economics. It can't be because it's not affecting the other consoles. So, I mean, possibly, but I can't see how, Umbra.
Yeah, I'm not sure about it. I'm one way or another. I mean, we know that their pricing over there is kind of off and janky in general, especially if you try to ship something over there. So I'm not too sure how that would work. I would say, though, as far as marketing and selling. I want to know how they position themselves to sell that console well when it's priced the same price as a PS5. It's not. It's no longer the affordable, platform to get with the S, option wise as far as that goes. So, because it's what, 700 and like roughly $39 US now. It's pretty insane.
Mm.
So I noticed they what do they call it, the Brazilian reals. Yeah,
Reals.
man. I
Yeah,
don't know.
reals.
I don't know how. Yeah, it was called. It looked like it reals, but I guess they pronounce it reals, from what I understand. But yeah, I don't know quite where to pinpoint the issue with this and why. I just know that it doesn't look good. That's the thing I take away from this. So I'm not sure how to talk about this necessarily. Well, I am surprised though, because I had a point, it seemed like they were reverting back to the previous price, but now they're steadfast in what it's going to do now and keep it at the 700 and 39 whatever US. So I just found I'm not sure enough on this, and much like Boba, I kind of thought maybe it's the inflation because of the Brazil situation over there. I don't know, but I do know that we have a few Brazilian brothers. I believe Fabio from to shout out to KY Bob and his podcast. I know it's affected. Heck, even the price that they had before was effective, not effective, but it was worrisome for them before due to the pricing for it. So I can only imagine how much more is worrying now, and can they actually get a chance to game like they want to with the price increasing to the point that it's increased to. So I don't know. I just think it's a bad look overall. I don't know quite why this is the case. I don't really know how to speculate on this, honestly.
Yeah, it just doesn't look good for Xbox. They're not coming out to say anything about it. So I would like to see Xbox
Yeah,
come out and say, "Hey, this is what's going on," and this is why. At least give the community some sort of clarity. And the fact that they're not doing that, because they're usually fairly transparent with things, is concerning. And we've already seen price
it
rises.
is more so too. Also, too, on top of that, it's more concerning because, like Brazil, much like Mexico, that's been one of the few locations that is dominant for Xbox in a lot of cases.
Hmm.
So it would seem unfortunate if Microsoft would lose that edge right there, where they don't have that advantage in a lot of other places. So
Yeah,
I'll add to that.
yeah, which is again like not possible, but unlikely with the slate that Xbox has got coming, which is nothing. You got nothing. Um, but it's
Mhm.
possible. Like if
Right.
you piss off your consumer base, what they're going to go looking elsewhere. That's just
Hmm.
pretty standard stuff. Well, look, guys, this I do have a couple other topics that I wanted to jump into, but there's nothing really here that's massive, and I don't want to drag the show on for the sake of dragging the show on. There wasn't a whole lot this week that we wanted to talk, that we had to talk about, and yeah, that's it. See you guys later. Nah. Yeah, so it was a pretty good show this week. I know there wasn't, again, like I said, wasn't a lot to talk about, but I feel like the topics that we had were pretty cool. AI was definitely cool. I really sort of enjoyed sort of
Well,
discussing where AAA is going to go.
let me ask you, Riz. What about the Modern Warfare 3 situation?
Yeah,
And there's two things I would bring up.
don't get me started.
I guess so. We got Mass Effect. We're hearing from Jeff Grubb where they're talking about. He's saying that he's hearing that game won't release until 2028, 2029. So I guess I would mention that and get you guys' thoughts on that. And because we know that that BioWare team is no longer the BioWare we knew, so I wonder, you know, with that being such a delayed point that we won't get that until basically next generation. It sounds like what's you guys' thoughts on that for Mass Effect? Because it killed a little bit of my hype personally. I was like, wow. So it's just so far out. That's what I'm wondering. That, and I would mention also for the Modern Warfare situation where they talked about how it was developed in 16 months when the usual time is 3 years rotation for that.
Mhm.
so people are saying that they can see why it got such a low score, et cetera, as far as the campaign at least. And people are not having, you're not seeing a lot of positive reactions, at least I guess industry wide for it as far as critics and such. So that's my thinking too. Those two things may be discussion worthy, but yeah, that's about it.
Well, Mass Effect is probably not my forte. I try to play Mass Effect.
Not your cup of tea.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to play Mass Effect.
I imagine you don't get mass erections. Yeah.
So I was wondering if anyone was going to catch on to that. Yeah, look, I tried to play it. I just couldn't get into it, man. I do have Legendary Edition as one. It's in my backlog, and I'll probably get into it. So I'm not super excited for that. But if you're talking to me about Call of Duty, there's so much hyperbole out there at the moment for people talking about how it's the worst COD. It's terrible. It's click farming, man. At this point, I've got to call it, like the Act Man was out there calling it the worst campaign he's ever played. No, it's not. It's not a great campaign. It is not even a good campaign, but it is not the worst campaign that they have done. That is 110%. If you're saying that, then you haven't played every COD and you are full of shit. You're a fraud. That to me just pisses me off. I've got thousands of hours in COD, so I feel like I am a pretty good arbiter of whether or not, a COD campaign is the worst, and this is 110% not the worst campaign. I mean, look at the space COD. That was horrifically bad. Even Call of Duty.
Ghost.
Advanced
Warfare. Yep. Even Ghost was bad. Really bad, actually. Really bad. And that got a 7.
Hated Ghost.
Yeah, same. And what was the other one that the World War II one? COD, I think it was COD World War II. That was bad. That was a bad all round. The multiplayer was bad. The campaign wasn't great. It was better than the multiplayer. Yeah, that was terrible. Then Vanguard, the multiplayer on that was like really lackluster. So,
look, I haven't played the campaign, so I can't speak to that. But I have played the multiplayer, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. I played Zombies with Boba last night. Awesome fun. Really want to get back into that. It was just the two of us. I think you can have a 6-man squad, so I can't wait to play that. Played with Holly and Monad and you, Risk, and the multiplayer is fire. I think that is always what is lasting when it comes to Call of Duty. So I think this Call of Duty is going to have a lot of legs.
Yeah. Well, and look, as Bo was saying in the chat, like the multiplayer is good, like really good. It's quicker than 2. It's quicker than Modern Warfare 2019, which are my two preferences. But every year this happens, people bitch about COD that don't know what they're talking about. But this year has been by far the worst. And it's at this point feels like bias. Like it feels like, oh, Xbox bought it. And you're even getting people, we're even seeing people on the internet going, oh, now Microsoft bought it, it's bad. Like, that is the dumbest shit to say. Like, they have nothing to do with this game. Like, nothing to do with it. Other than they own it because they bought it. It's like saying that Tenchu was bad back in the day, and that's Microsoft's fault. It equates to exactly the same thing.
Right.
Just as ridiculous.
I do believe it's a bit of, like you said, farming, because it's very hyperbolic. I still maintain that even if the game is bad, right, story-wise or whatever, or they don't like some of the directions they went with it, when I hear a 4 out of 10, and I said this on my show the other day, you may as well have said the game was a 2 out of 10, because a 4 out of 10 is, to me, you're just saying this game is essentially broken mechanically, story-wise, you know what I mean, idea-wise. It seems devoid. If I see 4 out of 10, that tells me this game is complete trash, and I just don't think this game is suddenly that. I'm sure it's not great, but a 4 out of 10, I don't know if I believe that. I could believe maybe a 6. I just don't believe a 4. I think a 4 is them purposely trying to be provocative, personally. And the same thing, like you said, with Act-Man, with him saying what he said, it's like, yeah, relax. I don't think it's that bad.
Nah.
I just think it's not good, but I don't think it's like dramatically that bad. And, some people write off the Xbox tax thing. I believe there is an Xbox tax. I don't know if it necessarily was the case for this specific game, but there is odd that it's odd coincidence. No sooner than they own them, here's a low score. So I don't know. It is odd. I would say that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fully fleshed out game with great graphics, great audio, great voice acting, really long lasting legs on both the zombies and the multiplayer. Yeah, the campaign, from all I've heard, isn't that great, but it is not a 4. It's a 6 at worst.
Yeah, at worst. I mean, at a 6, I could get down with. Holly. Yeah, it seems to be more and
1
more
out of 10.
hyperbolic. What are you thinking of the multiplayer?
Well, I was playing on a 220 ping last night, so I blame that for my substandard playing. But I didn't play COD back in the times when a lot of these maps were, the new hotness back then. So I don't have the same level of nostalgia for some of these maps that people do. I really like some of them, and others like Estate I hate, and I'm tired of High Rise already, but that's okay. I will learn to love it. I'm not a super fan of the gear system versus just a perk package at the moment. I'm sure it will get better and I'll get comfortable with it. I do like it. I, though, loved the Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer. The maps were like total trash, but the actual gameplay was very good and I enjoyed it. This is a lot different, but I'll learn it. I'm enjoying it because it is COD and I do like COD. The TTK going up by 50% is definitely a game changer. So we will see. I've been seeing tons and tons of people say this is the best multiplayer that's been around for, maybe even ever, right? Some people are saying. So
It's pretty good.
That's a great thing. Yeah.
I mean, it's really
I
good.
love the new TTK. You can get reversals like you can in Halo. So no longer is it if you get shot at first you die. There's actually an opportunity to come back and win that battle, which I absolutely love, and it really has changed the dynamics of the game. It's taking a little bit of time to get used to because I know you've got this muscle memory thing where you know how many bullets it takes to kill somebody, and it's a learning process. I've only played it for a day, so I'm sure I'll learn it, but it's a lot of fun, guys.
Yeah. I mean, it is.
Halo is not better.
It's really, really, it's good. One problem I have with it is what you just said. Like the map voting, there's always one of those classic maps, and if it's Rust or if it's High Rise, you're not going to get to check out the other maps. They always get voted for. So hopefully that sort of changes going forward, or there's a way we can not have map voting or something. Because I'm pretty tired of Rust. I've been playing Rust now for like 4 iterations. So and High Rise, I'm sick of that.
Get a squad of 4 people, Risk, and the vote will be whatever we want, really. So
yeah, I don't have 4 friends. But yeah, look, again, like I said, I don't want to drag the show on when we don't have the topics to sort of fill the time. But guys in the chat, I just want to say to you guys,
the only other thing. Wait, one more thing. There was one more thing about it that came out today that apparently they've pulled 3 maps already because the spawns on them are so bad.
Oh yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, they do that every year.
You know which maps are?
But I appreciate that you like it. No, I don't know yet. I don't know. I just saw. I will always vote Rust. I agree, but
I will always vote Rust.
I don't know
as
yet.
well.
I just saw it later today.
Yeah, because you guys play Shipment.
Rust is the Shipment of this game. So
yeah,
far.
it's basically Shipment. Yeah, it's great.
Not
and
as good as
got
Shipment,
a little hidey hole,
Shipment.
which he just stays in like literally the whole map. It's hilarious.
It's the better Shipment. It's a better Shipment, but it's
it's not. Shipment is the best.
No, Shipment's just no skill. You like spawn, shoot, and get a kill. That's
true.
skill
I
work.
will die on this hill. Shipment? No, you're wrong.
Yeah,
That's
Shipment is
awesome.
amazing.
No.
Yeah, love it.
No. Anyway,
Umbra, you love Shipment.
I think I
right?
like Ross
know you
better.
do. There you go.
I think I like Rust better because there's a little bit more tactics when it comes to Rust. You can go up, there's a few more places to hide, but it is
Nah.
as fast paced and as hectic as Shipper never was.
Yeah. No, it's rubbish. Look, okay.
Just wrote it off.
Yeah, you guys in the chat have been absolutely amazing. Give me a 1 if you're sick of Rust and shipment. Give me a 2 if you're sick of Rust and shipment. But yeah, like thank you guys for
Give a
coming through.
tomato if Riskit's a moron.
Thank you guys for coming through, supporting us every week. We'll have a guest for next week, and we do have a massive guest coming up for the 100th show. It's going to be he is huge, so it's going to be a very interesting show. Should be fun for everyone, especially the chat. And Umbra, obviously, thank you for coming through, man, every week, giving us your takes, let people know where they can find you, what you be up to, and all of that jazz.
Yes, and all that jazz. You guys, of course, can find me on Twitter, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. Tuesdays on Boom's Xbox Factor at 12 o'clock Eastern. And, of course, my show, The Fix, on Thursdays at 8 o'clock Eastern. Come through and support us. We do. I see a lot of you guys that in the chat that come through there. Bobby Hawk, why don't you come through there? Huh?
Bobby.
Yeah, boy.
You
I felt
got
like
there
that
late.
needed to be said. Yeah. But we had a good show, man. It was a good discussion on Minds. And a good one here tonight as well with you guys, of course. Yeah, and you guys can follow me there. And thank you guys for being here with us tonight.
Absolutely. Boba Fett Gaming in the chat says Rust rules. JediKnightPete.
Russ rules and Riskit rules. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention tomorrow I'll be on Kay Asante and Everborn show at the Gamer Circle, and later on at night, that's at 12 o'clock. Excuse me. That is at 10 o'clock Eastern for Kay Asante's show, and at 7 o'clock Eastern for PTK Blam's show with him, Pong Soul, and Fuzzy Belvedere.
Absolutely love
so you
PTK.
guys come through for that.
He's a legend.
Yes.
Love Boom as well. All those guys.
Good brother.
But yeah. JediKnightPete, another fantastic week. Yeah, let people know where they can find you, what you'll be up to, and all of that. Yeah.
We on COD and Halo and RoboQuest. And I actually want to try out Fortnite because I never played the OG map. So other than that, I'll probably be finished Lords of the Fallen this week and hopefully starting Alan Wake 2. Great show. Again, Riskit, congratulations, mate. Thanks, Holly. Thanks, Sunbar. Thank you, chat. You guys are awesome, except for you, Monad. Peace.
Blue, another thank you, Pete, as well. I appreciate it. Yep. Got a little baby I got to go look after now. Put the car seat in, do all that dad stuff. Blue, another fantastic week. Let people know where they can find you, what you're up to, and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, that blue number everywhere. PlayStation, which I don't turn on, Xbox, Nintendo, and Twitter. I'm going to probably lose myself in Call of Duty for a little while here, but I do also intend to get back into Alan Wake 2 and really
Game of the year.
hit it hard and get going on it. Yep.
Yeah. That is Game of the Year. If you guys haven't played Alan Wake 2, I highly recommend that game. It is like one of the most awesome games I've ever played. As for me, I will be being a dad because I have a newborn. She is tiny little, needs protecting and looking after. So that's what I'll be doing, as well as trying to fend off the 2-year-old and the mother-in-law. No, mother-in-law's fantastic.
Crickets.
You guys in the chat have been absolutely amazing. I guess we'll see you all next week. Have a good one.
Later.
Bye.
You're out of touch, I'm out of time.
Oh my God.
I'm tired.